Good day, guys. I am Kyle Iris Argueva, a BS in Electronics Engineering student of the University of Mindanao. For today, I am going to discuss about Polia's four-step approach in problem solving by George Polia. So this report is a project for the mathematics in the modern world. So first, let us start. Who is George Polia? George Polia is born on December 13, 1887 in Budapest, Hungary, and he studied at the University of Budapest and earned his doctorate in the year 1912. So during his career, he worked in various mathematical fields, including number theory and analysis. So his contribution to the mathematics would be, he authored How to Solve It in 1945, a seminal book on problem solving in heuristics. So on this book as well, we can found these four steps of Polia's approach in solving problems. So he passed away on September 7, 1985. So what is his four-step approach in problem solving? So this approach, it would be, these are the four steps that he made to solve problem solving. So we have understand the problem, and then make a plan. The third one would be execute it, and then the last one would be look back and reflect. So first one, what is the first step on his approach? First is understand the problem. So this problem, it involves thoroughly reading the problem to grasp what is being asked, and includes identifying the known and unknown elements. So you must clarify the terms or concepts and determine the goal of the problem. So here are the key concepts to better understand this first step. So first, we will have to read carefully the question so that we could identify the unknowns. After we can identify the unknowns, then we have to identify the known information or what is the given in the problem. The fourth one would be clarify the terms and concept. So you have to clarify the terms that is in the problem. So if you don't know the terms, then you have to look for the meaning of it. So you would better understand what is the term that has been being asked. And the last one is restate the problem in your own words. So if you understand the question, then you can be able to paraphrase it or make the problem in your own words. And the last one would be ask question. So this one, you would ask what is the given, what should you be done, and what are the unknowns that you need to look or you need to solve. And after we have this first step, then the next step would be devise a plan. So in this step, this involves selecting appropriate mathematical techniques, considering several problems, or breaking the problem into smaller parts. So to better understand here, these are the key concepts to devise a plan. So first one is select appropriate strategies. So we have to look for the strategies that is best to the problem that is being asked. The next one is break down the problem. So if the problem is complex, then we have to break it down to the smaller parts so we could better solve it. The next one is consider similar problems. So we may look back to the problems that we have encountered so that if it's similar to the problem that is being asked, then we can apply what we have done on those previous problems. Next is create a diagram or model. So in this one, to further devise a plan or to further understand what is being asked, so we can create a diagram or model. So this may include creating charts, doing graph, or like doing a flow chart, so we can better understand it in a visual way. The next one is list the steps. So we can list the steps on how we're going to strategize it so that we could have a better step-by-step planning. The next one is check for constraint. So this one we have to check if there calculations of the problem, or what is just being asked, so that we could not lost in doing or devising a plan. And next one is stay flexible. So after this devising a plan, then we can go to the third step, which is carry out the plan. So in this step, we will be carrying out what we have devised on the previous step. So this involves executing the strategies and calculation outlined in the previous step. So to better understand this, so these are the key aspects that we should remember. First one is follow the step methodically. So because on the second step, so you will be going to find what is the right formula, right? So you have to follow the step-by-step methodically so that you can have the right answer. The next one is perform calculations carefully. So we have to calculate carefully the what are the given. Next one is stay organized. So we must be organized. Next one is monitor your progress. Next is be open to adjustment. So this one, if we have found errors on following the steps or the formula, then we have to adjust it. Next one is document your through process. So this involves like the solution that you have made. Next one is, this is the last step on Wallace approach in problem solving. So this one is review or look back. So we will go in to check the calculations, verify that the solution addresses the original problem, and considering whether there are alternative methods or solutions. Aspects that we have to consider or that we have to remember. First is verify the solution. So we need to verify if the solution is correct. And then the second one is review the steps taken. So we're going to review what are the steps that we have taken so that we could check if that is correct. Next one is consider alternative methods. So in this step, so we can so we must identify if there are alternative methods that we could make to solve the problem, or if there is not. Next one is analyze the process. So we must analyze what is the process that we have made. Next one is generalize the findings. So we have to generalize what are our findings. And then next one is document insight. So we're going to have an insight on the problem that we have solved. So after this one, we're going to apply it in the examples for problem solving. So we could better understand these four steps. So this is the example number 1. So supposedly a rectangular garden has a length of 10 meters and a width of 6 meters. The owner wants to add a walkway around the garden that is 1 meter wide. What will be the total area of the walkway? So that is the problem. So applying the smallest force in our problem, so we're going to read first the step 1, which is the understand the problem. So the unknowns are, first is the length of the garden will be 10. Next one is the width of the garden will be 6. And the width of the walkway that has been given would be 1 meter. And now, the unknown would be the area of the walkway. We're going to put it as AW. That is the known. So for applying the second step is we're going to devise the plan on what formula we're going to use to be able to solve as what is the area of the walkway. So since we're going to have the visualization, so this would be the garden area, and the surround is the walkway. So we're going to have the area of the walkway. So first, we have to solve first what is the area of the garden. For us to be able to have the area of the walkway, we have to solve also what is the area of the bigger rectangle, including the walkway plus the garden area. So it's going to be the same thing, which is area is length times width that we're going to use. So that's for devising the plan. Next one is we have to, for the step 3, we have to apply the strategies that we have devised on the second step. So we have this one, we have the area of the rectangle, or I mean the garden, will be length times width will be 10 times 6 meters. So for the area we have 60 meters square. That's for the area of our garden. The next one is we're going to find the area of the bigger rectangle. So since this one will be 10 meter and then this one will be 6 for the length will be 10, the width will be 6. And then for the given area, this one here will be 1 meter. So for us to be able to find what is the length of the bigger and the width of the bigger rectangle, we're going to add this 6 plus 2. So if the width will be 6 plus 2, and then multiply with the length would be 10 plus 2. So the area we have 8 times 12. And the area of the bigger rectangle would be 96. So we have now meters squared. So we have now the area of the bigger rectangle, which is 96 meters squared. So for us to be able to find what is the area of the walkway, we're going to subtract the area of the bigger rectangle minus the area of the garden. So since from our solution we have the area of the bigger rectangle will be 96 meters squared, subtracted by the area of the garden, which is 60 meters squared. So we have our area of the walkway, 36 meters squared. So this is the answer after we have used the formula that we have identified in the step 2. So we have to, for the step 4, we're going to erase it. For the step 4, this includes the looking back or reviewing what are the solutions that we have made on the previous steps. So for the step 4, so we're going to see if the solutions that we have is correct. So we can double check that we have used the area length times width if we properly substituted the right nodes or the right given data, which is 10 and then 6. And then after that is identifying the node in the walkway, which is the 1 meter width. So we have added 2 here since it's here it's 1 and then another 1. So 1 plus 1 is equals to 2. So that is correct. And then after we have get the area of the garden and the area of the bigger rectangle, we have subtracted it, and then we have this 36 meters squared. So yeah, so our answer is correct. The next one, we have second problem. So for example number 2, we're going to calculate the average of the following set of numbers. So we have 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, and 42. So applying the Polias 4 step, step 1, it's identifying the known and the unknown. We have the knowns, which is 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, and 42. So that is the data that has been given. The unknown here would be the average. The average of the data so we're going to compute what is the average of this given set. So step number 2, we're going to devise a plan. So we can use the formula for getting the average, or in statistics we can use the mean formula, which is S equals the summation of the summation of the set over the count of the data. And then the step 3 would be carrying out, or where we need to use the strategy or the formula that we have identified in the previous step. So since from the given, we have this one, so we're going to add it like 4 plus 8 plus 15 plus 16 plus 23 plus 42 over, we have to count the sets and the data that has been given. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So over 6. Then the sum of this data set would be 108 over 6. So our average for this one would be 18. After carrying out the plan, we have to look back or review what has been, what are the steps that we have made. So we have to check for the step 4 if we have substituted the right data to our formula. So 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, 42, and then the unknown, which is 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so that is correct. And then we have to check if we have calculated it correctly. So 108 over 6 equals to 18. So our the steps that we have made is correct. So for the third example, we have solve the equation of 3x plus 5 equals to 20. So first step, we have to identify what is the unknown. So we have going to write 3x plus 5 equals 20. So as we can see in our equation, the only variable that we have would be the x. So x would be the unknown. And the given, and this is the given equation. So second step would be devising a plan. So in devising the plan, so for us to be able to find the value of x, so we have to put the x here in the left side, and all the constant will be on the other side. So this is the step that we will follow. So for the step 3, since you already identified the plan that we're going to, or the strategy that we're going to make, so we have to carry it out. So first, since 3x, this is the unknown, so we're going to stay here on the right side. And then for the other number, so we have 20, and then we have to transpose the 5 to the other side, and then As we all know that if we're going to transport it to the other side of the equation, and then the positive will be negative. So we have this negative 5. So we're going to subtract it. 20 minus 5 is equals to 15. And then since we're just going to have this one just an x, so we have to divide both sides by 3. So that we can cancel out this 3 here along with the x. So 3 divided by 3 is equals to 1, and then x equals 15 divided by 3 is equals to 5. So this is now the answer on the solution that we have made. So for the step 4, so we have to review or look back. So we have to check if we have come up with the correct answer. So on this equation, for us to be able to check it, so we can substitute the x value to the given equation. So since we have 3x plus 5 equals 20, since 3 and then the x is equals to 5, plus 5 is equals to 20, then we have 15 plus 5 equals 20, and then we have here 20 equals 20. So since this equation is balanced, then we can conclude that our answer is correct. So for the fourth example, we have here, find the volume of a cylinder with a radius of 3 cm and the height of 5 cm. So step 1, we're going to identify what are the unknowns. So since the unknown, we have the radius of the cylinder would be 3 cm. And then we have the height of the cylinder would be 5 cm. And the unknown would be the volume of the cylinder. So this is the unknown. So since we already identified what are the unknowns and knowns, we're going to apply the second step. So we have to find the formula to solve this volume of the cylinder. So for getting the volume of the cylinder, we have volume is equals to pi r squared h, or the height. So we have here, so this is the formula that we're going to use. After that one, we're going to carry out the plan. Or we're going to use the formula that we have identified. So we're going to substitute. So pi, we all know that it's 3.14, and then the radius would be from the given is 3, and it's squared, and the height would be 5 cm. So now, if we're going to multiply, or if we're going to multiply all the given nodes, so we come up to approximately 141.37 centimeter cube. So if we're going to multiply all this, the pi, the 3 centimeters squared, and the 5 centimeters, we can come up to a solution which is approximately 141.37 centimeter cube. So since we have this one, so now we have the volume of the cylinder to approximately 141.37 centimeter cube. So step 4, we're going now to see if we have come up the correct answer. So on the step 4, we're going to check if we have calculated the correct solution. So since this is the only way for us to get the volume of the cylinder, so this is the formula, and then we have checked that we have substituted incorrectly. It's 3 and then 5, and we all know that the pi is equivalent to approximately 3.14. And then we're going to calculate it again if we come up the same answer. So that will be for the step 4. So now, we are now down to our last example, or example number 5. So this is the problem. What is the probability of drawing an ace from a standard deck of 52 playing cards? So applying the Polias 4 step, for the step 1, we'll be identifying the knowns and the unknowns. So we're going to identify the known. So as we all know, standard playing deck or playing cards deck has a 52 cards. From the given problem, there are 4 pieces in the 52 cards, and the unknown would be now the probability that we can draw an ace. So this is the question, the probability that we can draw an ace card. For step number 2, we're going to devise a plan, or what will be the strategy that we're going to use for us to be able to solve the problem. So right now, for the step 2, we're going to find what's the strategy that we're going to use for us to be able to solve the probability that we're going to draw an ace. So we can use the formula, the probability, the number of cards. So we're going to have that one as x over the total number of the cards on a playing deck, which is n. So we can use this formula. Next one is we need to carry out the plan that we have identified. So we have this probability would be 4 over the number of the playing cards, which is 52. So since if we're going to divide it, we'll come up with a decimal answer. So we just have to simplify this fraction. So we can be able to divide 4. We're going to divide 4 on numerator and denominator, since 4 is a common factor for numerator and denominator. So 4 divided by 4, we have 1. And then 52 divided by 4, the answer will be 13. So from the formula that we have identified, we come up to an answer, which is the probability of us to draw an ace on a 52 play cards deck would be 1 over 13. So for us to be able to check if this is correct, so now would be the step 4 or review, or we have to look back what we have applied. So actually we can use this one. We can substitute. The probability was x over n. So we're going to so for this one, we can substitute. So the probability would be 1 over 13 from our answer here, and then we can be able to have the x will be 4 over 52. And then, as we all know from our previous step, we have simplified this fraction, which is both sides is a factor of 4. So 4 divided by 4, 1, and then 52 divided by 4 equals 13. So we can confirm that our answer from step number 3 is correct by doing the step number 4. So, all in all, Paul's approach in problem solving for his course lab is really helpful in different situations. We cannot not only use it in mathematical way, but we can also use it in our daily lives. Thanks for listening.